Yo, what's up, guys? We back in the flesh. We in this thing for another show. This is the Dallas Prospect Show. Every legend was once a prospect, believe it or not. That's what it is. So, with that being said, I want my guy, my brother from another mother, no other. Don't look like Danny Glover to kick it off. James, let them know where you at, man.
You know how we do, man. We repping Silver and Blue Nation, Big Game James. You know, Dallas Prospect, Law Nation. I told you we the new A team. So, you know, I don't need to say no more. Just watch this daggone show and you're going to have a good time. We're going to talk some good Cowboys football today.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, Darreck, what's on your mind?
Man, I got a lot of thoughts on the Cowboys' indecision when it comes to signing or even looking at any kind of trades. Although we got some Earl Thomas news that'll be interesting to talk today.
Lordy.
Earl the Pearl, baby.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's get this thing going. I know it's late. We still have producer G. He's back there working the ones and twos. You guys know how this go. This thing is going to get bigger and better each and every time we get out here on the mic. But I just want to be able to talk to my guy, Big Game James, a little bit about this Earl Thomas III in the Seattle Seahawks. I guess what they trying to do, they trying to rob us again like they did back in the days. But what's your thought on this whole entire deal?
Well, you know, I've been on the Earl Thomas since he came over to the locker room and said he wanted to come over. I mean, I'm a Texas guy, University of Texas, so I follow Earl since he's been at University of Texas. So I've been hyped up on it, and if we were to do any trade, I think that's the one trade I would want to do because I feel like what he could bring to the table. But now Seattle want to go mess it all up and say they want a first rounder. Now I don't want to talk about Earl Thomas because ain't no way in hell I'm giving up a first rounder for no Earl Thomas, and he's 29 and he wants to be the highest paid safety in the NFL. Hell no, I ain't doing that. Nah, as much as I want Dallas to jump in some free agency and make some kind of move, at the end of the day, I don't want them to be stupid. We were already talking about off air about the Joey Galloway situation. We went with Seattle, got the 2 first rounders. Darreck brought up that they picked up Sean Alexander in the draft, and the rest is history. They go to the Super Bowl while we still looking there stupid. So I don't really want to go that route. I think they're just throwing that out there going high, but I feel like they will drop because if you look at all these other players that went out there were top of the line players, they ain't going for a first. So there ain't no way in hell ain't nobody going to give no first round for no Earl Thomas. So just come on down. I know you're missing a second and a third pick in your draft this year. Come on down and get on in that third round pick with Dallas. And you want to give a player? We give you a player. But let's make that happen. No first rounders here, though.
No doubt. So, Darreck, man, what's your thought, man? Will you give up a first round to know that you have a good safety out there in the backfield to solidify this defense? Will you give up that first round for him?
A first rounder for a 29-year-old safety who wants to be paid like Eric Berry, I don't do that. No, first rounder, no. Now, something we'll get into in a little bit when we talk about David Irving, there might be a way in which I would go with a 2. But I'm not giving up a 1 by any means. My thinking is 3. I would be okay with a 3.
Now, the people in the chat box talking about this Tyrann Mathieu, the honey badger. What's your thought on that, Big Game, James?
There is no thought on it. Dallas said no, so I don't even want to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can only live in reality. We can all say, well, what about this player? What about this player? But we also got to look at reality. I was listening to Mike Fisher on the 105 or the Fan today, and Fisher was talking about, Ndamukong Suh. He was let go, and he mentioned Mathieu. But the first thing he came out of his mouth when he mentioned Mathieu was that Dallas ain't even looking at him. They ain't even considered him. They're not even want to talk about him because, the Cardinals and him couldn't work out a deal. So basically, that was probably the reason why. It was probably because of money. We already ain't got no money. So why would we even talk to him? He's going to want some kind of money because it's not like he's an old player and he's still a top player. We're not probably going to get a top player unless we give up some draft picks for real because we don't have the cash to give it to him.
No doubt. So any moves, anything's in your mind out that, Darreck, or just?
I mean, as it relates to Honey Badger, I think, he is a young player. He is a great player. I think he has 11 career interceptions already, but he is a guy that has had a couple knee surgeries, I think, as well. So that's something that I would have been concerned with, especially if we're talking about paying a lot of money. I don't think Dallas is going to take a look at him. I think it's, what James was saying was dead on with that. If they look at safety, it's either going to be in the draft or they might make something work, maybe with the Earl Thomas thing, if they can get Seattle to kind of reel in its expectations a little bit.
No doubt, no doubt, man. Shout out to Cowboys X Factor. You guys go out and follow his pages out there. He's on Twitter. He's on Instagram. He is also on the YouTubes of the world too as well. He said we almost paid $16 million for Sam Watkins. What the F? I'm gonna try to keep it PG-13. You know how I go. So big game. If we'd have paid $16 million for Sammy, well, how would that set us back?
I probably wouldn't have did a show on Silver and Blue Nation for a whole year. That's how bad, because we talked like a couple weeks ago. I believe we talked about Sammy Watkins, and I think even on Silver and Blue Nation we talked about Sammy Watkins. I don't want Sammy Watkins. He's been injured. He had that great career at Clemson, but he's did nothing in the NFL. There's no way in hell I'm paying Sammy Watkins any kind of big money, because you ain't did nothing to deserve the big money. That would just been plain stupid, and I'm glad we walked away from it. But I will get a little bit excited to say that at least that we did look at it. We did, throw some money out there. So that gives me hope that they are looking. But if you listen to what it seems like is that they're going hard at the receiver position. As I said last week on Silver and Blue Nation, they had 8 visitors as far as receivers, as far as all their visitations they had from the combine, 8 receivers, and they were all the top dog receivers. So that's very big to me already.
Hey guys, let me jump in here real quick, because this is Producer G. I want to thank everybody who's been tuning in over here on our Silver and Blue Nation Facebook Live. Just a second here while I get these comments pulled up. Jop Young's tuned in, Ben Jones, Dana Brining, Marcy Shabazz, Ryan Dye. What's up, everybody? Everybody's wanting to hear about the free agencies, Ndamukong Suh. Obviously, Earl Thomas is on everybody's mind. Everybody just keep commenting. We'll get to all your comments. I just wanted to appreciate everybody who's tuned in with us so far.
No doubt, man. Salute to all you guys that's in the chat box and those who are out there, too, as well on the Facebook channels. Don't forget, too, as well, guys. Hey, these are just our opinions. We welcome all strong opinion, too, as well. But look here. The thing is with this free agency thing, Ndamukong Suh, he want big money. We don't have big money. We need somebody who can wheel and deal with us. We need somebody who can say, hey, I want to play for the Cowboys. I want to help this team win. But if he want to help us just lose money, then I don't need him. I don't want him. You just move on. Maybe we can find somebody in the draft that can be serviceable, just enough to get us down to this line as far as the playoff. What are your thoughts, Big Game James?
I'm the same way. I was listening to Fish, just what he was saying. He was talking about Ndamukong Suh, and they were saying that, what about him being a locker room problem or anything like that? But you talk a lot they were saying he talked a lot of his friends or people around the league saying off the field he's a cool guy, nice guy, you never have any problems with him. And I can kind of get that from Ndamukong Suh as well, being nasty on the field. But one of the key things he also said was his friend says that he likes money. He likes a lot of it. So when he said he likes money, obviously I turned that off and didn't listen to it anymore, because you're not coming to Dallas when you say you like money, because we don't got none.
We sure don't got none. What's your thoughts on that, Darreck?
Man, Ndamukong Suh is absolutely the kind of dog that we've been talking about wanting, and he's absolutely, a run stopper and a threat at defensive tackle. That's exactly the kind of player we've been talking about, wanting and needing. But he's not going to come here. If he wants big money, one, we don't have the money. Two, Dallas, with their new philosophy and everything, their more conservative nature, there's no chance that they're willing to, make the roster moves that can free up to give him the most money out of any other team. So it's a non-story as soon as he says that. Like James said, as soon as that happens, it's like, just shut off the story, because it's a non-factor now.
No reason to listen to it no more. You feel me? Like, we can all play the hypothetical game, and that's all good. But when the headquarters shuts it down, ain't no even need to talk about the situation. Like, just like what we were talking about with Tyrann Mathieu. Once Dallas shut the door and said they weren't looking at him, there ain't no reason to talk about him, because he ain't coming to Dallas. And most of those guys are getting cut are the higher priced guys. we can't touch them. We're with the bargains right now. Now, I know next year we'll have some money available because I think Romo's falls all the way off next year, and I think we will. I don't want to look too far ahead, but it'll be interesting to see that if when we finally do have some money, what are they going to do then? But as of right now, I feel like what we really need to look forward to is this 2018 NFL draft, because it looks like we ain't touching nobody out there in free agency.
Not with a 10-foot pole. So look here, this I'm about to say Eric Thomas, this Earl Thomas situation. What will it take at the end of the day? What would you settle for to get Earl Thomas right now? Big game. What would you do to get him?
I mean, if I had the opportunity, I would, just like what Darreck was talking about, if something happens with David Irving and we get that additional second-round pick, then I'd be willing to dangle that second-round pick and give them a second-round pick. They'll take that second-round pick. I don't care what Seattle's talking about. They can talk all that crazy stuff all they want to. You throw a second-rounder in their face and maybe a player, they're going to bite on that because they need to replenish those draft picks. That's why they're getting rid of all their old players. That's what you have to do. You get rid of old players, you get those draft picks, you build young again, and then you keep recycling. So to me, I will look at that second or third round pick and throw in a player like maybe Jeff Eve. I don't know if Skandrick, if he would be traded or not, or if they would cut him. But I would throw in a minor player and like a second or a third for him because, like I said, we got 10 picks this year. You don't have those 10 picks every single year. So when you do have them and you have a place where you can maneuver and make a move, I think this is the opportune time to try to make it happen, especially if David Irving doesn't come back, because it doesn't look like he's coming back in my eyes.
Darreck, man, what's your thoughts, man?
I agree. I don't think Irving's coming back. As for Seattle and the Earl Thomas trade, if he can get him for a 2, which would be, we know today that the Cowboys put a second-round tender on David Irving. People inside the Star are saying that there's a lot of drama that hasn't come to light surrounding him, even going as far as to describe him as a ticking time bomb. If that's the case, then it's not a matter of if he's leaving Dallas. It's a matter of when. And I think them putting a second-round tender on him is just their way of trying to kind of recoup some of that investment. They've got 10 picks, and if you're looking at trading for a guy maybe like Earl Thomas, if you can get someone to try and take Irving off your hands, as much as that pains me to say, because his talent and ability is otherworld. But if you can get someone to bite on that and you get the extra second-round pick, then I would be okay with giving that to Seattle to getting Earl Thomas. I think he can be exactly the kind of leader and dog. It would reunite him with Chris Richard. I like it. It's just a matter of whether it happens, and I go back and forth almost by the hour on whether or not I think that's going to happen.
Hey, you guys love money, right? That's a good point right there, Darreck. Hey, you guys love money, right? You love money, big game, James, right? Darreck, you love money. Like it. Hey, you like it. That's what I'm talking about. Get all into it. Hey, I got some guys with some strong opinions. That's what I'm talking about. I got Italian Cowboy, man. He put it out here, man. He put this out here on wax, man. I'm going to see if you guys can roll with this. He said, we cut Skandrick, Hannah, Beasley, Crawford. That would create $18 million in cap space. What would you do with $18 million right now? Those some hard cuts, man. You know good and well. My problem is with the Cowboys, we caught all our players. And if we go back into 2012, we had all those damn draft picks. And guess what we did? We tried to keep every last one of them. What we got right now? We got a lot of picks in this coming up draft. Look, Italian Cowboys, he put it out there. He put his money where his mouth at. He put his thoughts out there. He ain't scared. He ain't folding up like a cheap tent. He said, hey, if we go out here and we make these hard cuts right now, if we cut Skandrick, if we cut Hannah, if we cut Beasley, if we cut Crawford, we will have $18 million in cap space. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds great, but we ain't. Stephen Jones is running this now. Like, hey, I'm feeling everything he's saying about that. I think every Cowboys fan is feeling this. You know what I mean about these players. I don't know if Crawford. I know everybody hates on Crawford. A lot of people hate on Tyrone Crawford. They do. I want to hate on him, but I can't because it's Dallas's fault. It's their fault. It ain't Tyrone Crawford's fault. He was playing at the tackle position. They moved him. They should have kept him at tackle, and they should have never touched him and moved him back to defensive end. Then they messed him up as far as what they're going to do. And now he's like, oh, they're paying him all this money and he ain't doing nothing. Well, you can't keep switching him around. Keep him at one freaking position and let him grow. And he should have stayed at that 3-tech D tackle. They should have never moved him from there because that's where he got his money. Now, Hannah, yes, I get rid of Hannah because he ain't doing nothing. Always hurt. I didn't already said about Cole Beasley. I don't care about all you Cole Beasley's lovers on there. I don't care about y'all no more. Y'all can love Cole Beasley all you want to. I said he was good. I said he was a good player. But guess what? He's 29. You got a 23-year-old Ryan Switzer who has the same type of skill set, who I think is more explosive. And you know you're probably going to get another couple receivers in the draft. Why don't you do that when he has value? Keep him for 2 more years when he's 31 and 32, and then you just cut him. And what did he do for you then? See, that just doesn't make sense to me.
Man, you dropping the fire, man. Well, Darreck, what's your thoughts on this, man?
I agree that they should be willing to make some of these moves. Cole Beasley, absolutely. They should be looking at this point to move on from him. You know, you kind of look at the model of other teams, like whether it's the Patriots or to a lesser extent the Seahawks. Hell, just look at the Packers. You know, letting go of Jordy Nelson.
They all do it.
Yep.
They cut him.
You let a guy go before you've held on too long, before you're paying him a bunch of money and his production has slipped. I mean, you can't do that if you're Dallas. And the problem is Dallas falls in love with its players. It coddles its players. It gives them the ultimate job security to the point where they could be, if they can get on the field with a walker, they're going to keep paying them millions of dollars. So it's just one of those things where it makes sense to move him now. Because if you're moving him now and people are saying, he might have another year or two, why are you moving him now? Well, that's because he's going to go elsewhere, and you keep the payroll down, right? Mm-hmm. If you can get similar production out of Switzer, good. You're paying him a lot less, and suddenly you have room to sign other guys, hopefully not bargain bin shopping anymore with like Nolan Carroll or Paella or Demontre Moore. But, that's how you have to build a team. And the fact that we are completely unwilling to do that now, it's infuriating. I mean, there's no other word for it. I know I don't have as much fire as James does on it, but I almost feel numb to it at this point. I almost feel numb at this point to all the Cowboys' indecision.
We preaching to the choir, basically.
it doesn't really make sense. But let me give a shout out to some people on the Big Game James page. I was checking my page out. So shout out to Teresa, Columbus Jones, Eric Dotson. I've seen a few other people, but shout out to everybody who's on the Big Game James page right now listening. Y'all don't never see me go on the late night. I only do one show a week, and that's it. I don't be trying to show my face, but you're going to see that pretty face on here today.
You're listening to the late
Did you see Darreck?
night.
He gave me Did you see Darreck? He turned his lips up. You saying that? I look good, Darreck.
Shout out to Jackie Smith. Shout out to you, baby. Shout out to you, and shout out to Albert too as well. You guys all in the chat box, man, doing y'all thing. Dollar Ninja, that's a tight name. I like that. Dollar Ninja. I like that. But man, hey, so we're not bashing the Cowboys' decisions. We optimistic about this upcoming season. We know that for one thing for sure, that Ezekiel Elliott should stay out of the news. We understand that. But with this first round pick and the 19th overall pick in the draft, we got to get a dog. I want a dog. So, hey, we need one, man. So with that being said, the next topic out there, we didn't touch the wide receivers. We didn't touch the actual piece with Earl Thomas. But what we didn't touch is this offensive line. We need somebody who can just be serviceable just a little bit to help my guy out, number 77. This Will Hernandez, he's out there pretty much begging to be a Cowboys. If with the 19th overall pick, we go out there and grab him, how would you feel about that? Anyone of y'all take that?
Go ahead, Darreck.
I mean, I look at it as while he's a fantastic player, I would certainly be interested in adding him. I'm hesitant to take an offensive lineman, even he's a guard. I'm hesitant to take even a very good guard at 19, just because I feel like now, with Hitchens going to Kansas City, I feel like there's just too great of a void at linebacker. To me, before Hitchens left, my mindset was that I actually wanted probably like Derwin James, in the first round. I didn't think you could get him at 19. I figured you'd have to trade up a little bit. But I really was thinking along those terms, and now I've pretty much switched completely to Tremaine Edmonds. That's more so my thinking now. I would like Will Hernandez. I wouldn't hate the pick, but I feel like there's greater need that you need to consider at this point.
How dare I forget about us losing Anthony Hitchens, man.
I thought he was about
my
to call
bad.
me out there.
No. Man.
I was like, oh.
Jeez. Hey, man, that's a big loss for us, man. That's a big loss. It's a big loss, man. He's an insurance policy.
It's a okay loss. It's not
Man,
a huge loss because he's gonna go to Kansas City and he'll probably be good. Hitch is probably gonna go to Kansas City and be decent, but he's not $9 million decent.
No.
He's sure in the hell.
Now
I wrote an article on Hitchens, and I like you, Hitchens, but you ain't $9 million, dog. You ain't a $9 million linebacker, and I didn't want to see you leave, but ain't no way in hell nobody should be paying you $9 million. And you know that, Anthony. But that's okay. You heard Darreck. He mentioned my guy, Tremaine Edmonds. I'm in love with him. I am in love with him. You go check on that big game James page, and you see I'm in love with him. Okay? Now, I like Roquan Smith, too. I have a few people getting on me like, Roquan Smith is better than Tremaine Edmonds, Dane. He better. I don't care who it is, him or Smith. Get him. That's the whole point. We looked at the linebacker position. We have Jalen Smith, Sean Lee, Damian Wilson. The one dude, he got a long name. I don't remember his Dillard something. He ain't even play. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need linebackers, y'all. We don't need to play around. I don't want a guard in the first round. I like Will Hernandez. He was my second round pick. Obviously, he moved up because he had a really good combine. I get it. He is begging to come to Dallas. But defense is what we need. Just because defense played good last year and everybody's looking at, we were 8th last year. That was last year. That doesn't mean it's going to happen this year. You need to replenish. What was our biggest problem? Depth. We need to replenish. You know what I'm saying? And we need dogs. Don't go after puppies. Go after dogs.
Sean Lee scares the hell out of me, man. I can't just sit back and say Sean Lee gonna play 16 weeks, man.
When's the last time Sean Lee played 16 damn games? Exactly.
He had 15 last year. Not this year. The past year, 2016, he played 15, and they held him out for rest at Philadelphia week 17. So he could have done it then, which would have been the first time in his career, to your point.
Okay, you didn't have to bust me out.
No. I was actually trying to agree with you in a roundabout way.
He just killed me.
I want to say real quick when you mentioned Roquan Smith earlier, I love his instincts. He's got a lot of dog in him, no pun intended, being a bulldog. But the thing about him, I'm a little reluctant to take a undersized weak side linebacker at that stage as well. I think if I go linebacker, I want a guy like Edmonds, a guy with better size and, a middle linebacker. I don't think I want a weak side linebacker. And that's frankly, if you're drafting Smith, I don't think he could play middle linebacker. I think he'd have to be weak side, which is what Sean Lee does. And we're not moving Sean Lee back to middle for his own health as it is. So if you're drafting Smith, man, you're kind of knowing that he's going to see reserved time for at least a year or two before we figure out, what to do with Sean Lee's situation and his contract. So that's my feeling on that.
Yeah. Well, we play so much nickel though. We play too many. We play so much two linebacker sets anyway. Now, if you go out and draft a Derwin James, maybe you can slide him down into the box. We saw him do that plethora of times out there. But I don't know, man. I'm gonna still have my reservations on this linebacker core, especially since we got rid of Hitch. And I don't know. I don't know what Frazier's going to do next year. I don't know if he's going to step it up as far as being a safety. He's a box guy. They talking about moving and sliding.
He's going to be the new J.J. Wilcox.
Well, so it could be possible.
Don't mention that name. Don't mention J.J. Wilcox ever again. He lost that Green Bay game for us in 2014. I still ain't over it. It wasn't just the catch. It was the shake move. You got shook on you because you take terrible angles. And you're not to just get bent out of shape about it, but that's just the thing right here. We went after J.J. Wilcox in the 4th round, who was a converted running back, who was a running back who converted to safety. You see what I'm saying? And we had him, 3-4 years and gone. You know what I mean? It's like we taking these developmental players. I don't want no damn developmental players. If we don't go out and get anybody in free agency, do not go out there and get developmental players in these 10 picks. You better go get people that are getting on the field right now that can make a difference right now. I don't want somebody in the 2nd or 3rd. He got a little knee injury. He got a medical flag. I don't want no medical flags, no red flags. Don't draft anybody who's already injured and get dogs. That's real easy, Dallas.
But the thing is with this draft is fickle, man. This draft is filled with tons of wide receivers and tons of running backs. So I don't know, man.
There's some good linebackers now. There's some good linebackers. The defensive tackle position isn't bad. You can get a good defensive tackle in this draft. I got a couple guys that I would really love, but I don't think the linebacker position is bad. This is a time that we can scoop a couple good linebackers in this draft and make a difference. So I feel like this is an opportunity to, like I said, if Stephen Jones is saying we're happy with what we have, then Stephen Jones, you have to hit on this 20. This is a more critical draft than the 2016 draft to me. Those guys came in because, we needed players to come in instantly and make a difference. 2018, these guys need to come in instantly, day one, and be starters. When you're looking at maybe your first 3 picks, those guys got to come in and be starters, straight up. No guys coming off the bench. They have to be starters.
Which is why I didn't want to take Roquan at 19.
We need a bigger guy in the middle. We need a Rolando McClain. He's the one that got me excited. When we got Rolando McClain, I know how he had all his problems and whatever. But, man, when you saw how his size changed our defense when he was in that middle, and that's why I get excited about Tremaine Edmonds. He's a solid 6'4", 250, and he's only 19 freaking years old. Yep. You can keep on. Man, that's this potential oozing out of him. Now, if we got 2 of the guys that I wanted to pick, I think we'd be okay. If we got Tremaine Edmonds in the 1st, and in the 3rd, I went with Fred Warner from BYU. I don't know if you guys ever checked him out. That dude is ultra fast, nasty. Now, if you get a couple linebackers like that in the draft, and then you add Sean Lee, and then a Jalen Smith, now I'm feeling a little bit better.
I watch every film breakdown by Big Game James. Just for the record. And Law Nation.
Yeah, I got another coming up. Be ready.
You guys be ready. Man. So we get this. We talking about heavily defense, right? So what about this offense, man? What we need to do? Big Game, what we need to do, man?
Everybody's talking about this Dak-friendly offense. I'm going to see. Ryan Switzer needs to play a lot. Okay. And I see that bond growing with, you saw it toward the end of last year. You always saw Switzer always coming up to Dak. It was like they were really growing with each other. That's why I was so frustrated, because they were vibing off the field. When you have that connection off the field, it flows so naturally when you're playing the game. You know what I'm saying? So I really want to see that Switzer. I think that's going to be a really good combo. I don't know what's going to happen with the receiver position. I definitely feel like they need to look at feelers for Terrence Williams and Beasley. They need to put them out there and see if anybody would bite. You need to look. Des Bryant, if you want to keep him another year, hey, go do your thing. I think they're going to have Des do another prove-it year. But in my heart, I'm not trying to say get rid of Des Bryant, but I just feel like for it to be Dak's team, Des Bryant has to go. No disrespect to Des Bryant, but if we want this to be Dak's team, Des Bryant and Dak don't coexist to me. And Jason Witten, I'm sorry, I love you, dog. I love Jason Witten. Like, I will always love you to my heart, but you need to retire. Okay? You need to play somebody else. I showed a couple of takes of Eric Ebron. I don't know if we would bite after him from Detroit, the tight end, but they showed a couple of plays where he was on a cornerback. Okay? Quick move, deep touchdown. We don't have that. And we're all talking about, well, we got Rico Gathers. Rico Gathers ain't played nothing. So I don't want to hear about no Rico Gathers until Rico Gathers plays a regular season game. But let's get a guy who's actually played, who can come into the position and do something, because we're getting killed when we can't throw the ball anywhere because teams know to sit 5 to 10 yards because they know Jason Witten ain't going nowhere.
Sit on that route. Darreck, what's your thought on that, man? What's your thought on this offense?
On the offense, they definitely have to address something at wide receiver. I think it's a pretty good draft for wide receivers. I think you can take. I think you can get a solid contributor. You're not most of the time going to get a instant fire new number one receiver guy in the draft as a rookie or not. His first year is usually going to be kind of uneven, maybe a flash or two. Year two will be better. It's usually around year three where that really pays dividends. But I still think you can find a guy who you can plug into the offense and kind of help open things up a little bit somewhere in the first 3 rounds. And I think that works fine for what Dallas needs this year. As for Dez, he's definitely, I think, coming back at this point. I know we've been all over the road on that the past few weeks. But I think at this point, I think what happened with Sammy Watkins, I think they were looking to move in that direction, that they were looking to get a guy with, at least in terms of the last couple of years, kind of similar production. But Sammy Watkins would presumably have come in at a cheaper deal. He obviously got the money that made that not possible. And I think at that point, it's kind of like, well, we're more or less married to Dez for at least one more year. If he doesn't prove it then at that point, maybe it doesn't hurt as much to move on. But I think at this point, it's kind of like it's almost like you separated from your wife, things got tense, and now it's like, oh man, we kind of got to bring it back together now and just, act like everything's fine for the kids or whatever. So I'm trying to run with an analogy here, and I'm starting to lose my path. But
no doubt,
I think that's
feel
kind
you.
of the situation with the Cowboys.
I feel you though,
I
man.
think that's where they're at.
Shout out to Chaz J, man, for the donation to help grow the nation. Remember, this is the Dallas Prospect Show. Every legend started out as a prospect. But he says, hey, Rico is trash. Hayden Hurst is be a better prospect out there for the Cowboys. Somebody who can stretch the field vertically, catch the ball smoothly with his hand, can be a block in line, and then also can just be that guy that you have to worry about out there on the field. So, yeah, we understand that, but it's the direction of Jerry Jones and Will McClay and see what they're going to do. Now, my thing is, my whole thought track on Desmond Bryant, hey, this is the third year. This is the magical year. If nothing don't just show us any promise at all, then he's gone. That's just the end of the story, guys. I do know that everybody out here, Dez Bryant's apologists, everybody send me hate mail saying that, hey, man.
The pitch torch.
Right. Saying, man, hey, man. right. You're not a true fan, Law Nation. You don't know about Dez. It's Dak problem. You know, all that good stuff. Look, Joe Montana never threw the ball down the field. We understood that. Brad Johnson, he won a Super Bowl. We understand that. I'm not calling Dak Prescott Joe Montana, nor I'm calling him Brad Johnson. But he's not a Brad Johnson, though, and he's not a Joe Montana. So he's somewhere in between. So if we can just figure out that, and if you got Zeke the freak out there running the ball, doing his thing, then that'll shut the hell up about all of the talk about the quarterback can't pass the ball down the field, because now you got somebody who taking 5-6 yards running the ball.
You had some little bit of breaking news here from actually our buddy Hirsch Patel. Mm-hmm. Cowboys have pulled the switch on the Travis Frederick restructure, netting $7.5 million in room.
Okay,
we have our first restructure.
Now everybody's going to jump up and be like, "Now we got money," but see, they don't understand that. I don't like the crap. Okay, I don't like when it's like we're the restructure team. Cowboys restructure. Just call us Cowboys restructure. That's all we are. We just restructure contracts. As soon as we sign you, you're getting restructured in 2 years. Like it's coming in 2 years. You feel me? Like we ain't even waiting 3 years. It's coming in 2 years. Didn't he just sign the deal?
I think
last year? 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
A year, maybe two. I think he did it after 2016. So yeah, basically 1 season ago.
Yeah, so I mean, he already restructuring him. It's like they were already knew to sign him, but they knew they were going to restructure him, and that's the only way they free up money. Like, okay, we get burnt with it later. You haven't learned the lesson. That's why we're sitting here where we're at now. But okay, if that's what we feel, so if you're going to restructure and open that money up, you better get somebody that's good, and don't go out there and get another Benson Mayowa.
They better get a dog, boy. They better go out there and get that dog.
I get it, and I'm not mad at them for calming down and getting the cap under control. I'm cool with that. I'm good with not being in salary cap hell, but don't be super cheap and don't go get them whack dudes that you know daggone well ain't gonna play for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, they gave the free agent list for our last 2 years. Man, freaking Alfred Morris was our best free agent signing. Are you serious?
Just because he finished the last 2 years. He actually finished both years on the team.
Exactly.
Man, I don't know what to say, man. We got to figure out a way, man, to stop using these credit cards, man.
Hey, my guy, Sieber.
Okay, now you got to restructure. Who are we really going to get now?
What up, G?
My guy, Sieber over here on the Silver and Blue Nation Live. And if you're just joining us, this is the Dallas Prospect Live. We're broadcasting right now, simulcast on 5 different platforms. So wherever you're watching, we appreciate you tuning in. My guy, Sieber over here on the Silver and Blue Nation feed, he wants to know, how long do we have left on Tony Romo's contract?
1 year, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's this year.
This is the last year of the dead money. I think it's like $8.9 million, I think.
Yeah, that's what's left of it, I believe. I think I saw that today. So it was $19 million total, but obviously we've paid that off in chunks the last couple of years. So I think this next year is the last year with some of that dead money.
But you know what, year. Law?
Go ahead.
Let me ask you this, Law. Mm-hmm. Remember when you said this, Law, that maybe we could have had a Super Bowl with Romo when he was coming up for his contract? He didn't do a Brady contract. He didn't sit there and say, nah, you know what? Leave some of this money so we can sign some other players so we can get defense in here and this and that so we can win the Super Bowl. Did he do that? And I'm not blaming Tony Romo. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, but did he do that? No, he took all that money. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know, when you pay a quarterback all that money, it cripples your team. Baltimore Ravens, what did you do? You won a Super Bowl. You signed Joe Flacco to that ridiculous contract. And what did it do? It crippled your team for a couple of years because now you can't sign nobody because you got all this money tied up to a quarterback.
That's the thing, man. The cheat code to everything is finding a way you can not pay your quarterback. If we look back at it, I mean, the Patriots didn't pay their quarterback, right? The Seattle Seahawks, they didn't pay their quarterback because they had this defense around them. So, I mean, we all know what happened with the Denver Broncos. Everybody was just trying to just come out there and play with Peyton Manning at that point. And I don't think they're playing Peyton Manning like a buku crazy money contract. So, I mean, the window that we have right now is there. You right. I mean, if we figuring out a way to just somehow, some way to get players to come to our team without us paying before Dak Prescott requesting 120-something million or whatever crazy number it's going to be. If we can figure that out, then yeah, we probably come out with a chip because the name of the game is finding players. So you do a good draft and then you sprinkle 1 to maybe 2 free agent players in one trade, and that's how you figure out a way to win a Super Bowl. That's what the Seattle Seahawks did. That's what Denver Broncos did. That's what the Patriots been doing for a long time, and that, believe it or not, that what Filthy just did.
I mean, and if you look at Minnesota, they're competitive. Look at Green Bay. I mean, they're competitive now. The Green Bay way, and now if you look at it, people have been criticizing the Green Bay way because you notice with Juan Wolf, he really never, I don't know if he's with them anymore, but he would never venture outside of Green Bay. He would sign his own, and then they would draft. They stayed competitive, but they had an all-world quarterback. When you have an all-world quarterback, that changes the game because when you have an all-world quarterback, he keeps you in the game every single game. So you can afford to kind of keep your own. We don't have an all-world quarterback right now. You know what I'm saying? We don't have that in Dak Prescott. So you know what I mean? So you can't sit there and now if you're looking at Green Bay, even though they've been competitive, they haven't been winning anything. And what is the criticism that the head office has been getting? You ain't going out there and getting no free agents. You keep on trying to sign your own players. That ain't going to keep on working. And if you look, it works for a little bit, but it doesn't get you over the hump. And that's why I say those 1 or 2, not 15, not 5 free agents, that 1 or 2. With your core and your young players, that gets you over the hump.
And not to be a Green Bay talk show right now, but what's been the Green Bay Achilles heel? The quarterback getting injured, a la Romo, and the defense. Green Bay defense always been porous. But if you think about this, if Green Bay had any type of defense, they'd probably been in the Super Bowl. If Green Bay had any type of ability to keep Aaron Rodgers healthy, they would have been in the Super Bowl. But they've been, like you said, they've been paying Aaron Rodgers. And that's the problem. Teams that pay their quarterback, they don't win the Super Bowl. It's bottom line.
No, that's pretty spot on. I can't think of the last time you had a guy win the Super Bowl, a quarterback, where he was making top tier dollar. I mean, Brady's
like
typically been on
million a year.
Yeah. Brady. I mean, Brady gets paid, but he doesn't get like paid.
All right. So let me see. I got a few people talking on this Big Game James page. There's a lot of Dez Bryant talk on here. There's a lot of Dez Bryant talk on mine. They're going ham on Dez.
What? Dez Bryant
Dez
talk?
Bryant thing.
No. Cowboy fans don't have an opinion on Dez Bryant.
Hey, Dez Bryant, I will say this. Dez Bryant got a lot of loyalists. He does. And I still love Dez Bryant too. But guess what? When you ain't the man like that no more, I can't keep on saying you the man and you ain't. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, and like I said, I was listening to Mike Fisher today. Well, let me tell you something. If they cut him and he goes to New England, he balls out. Everybody going to be mad he in the Super Bowl. You know what? It's the New England Patriots. Let him get cut and go to the Cincinnati Bengals. Are you going to say that then? No, you're not. You're going to say it when he go to the Green Bay Packers because he got Aaron Rodgers. You're going to say that to the New England Patriots because it's Tom Brady. You ain't saying that if he goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars with Blake Bortles.
Basically, man, Dez Bryant and Demaryius Thomas, same person.
Same player. And guess what? Demaryius Thomas is in decline.
People ain't going to say it.
Let's be honest, even on Demaryius Thomas. Demaryius Thomas was decent, but who made him better? Peyton Manning came in there and made Demaryius Thomas better. Once Peyton Manning left, do you see Demaryius Thomas numbers going crazy anymore?
Yeah. I mean, and look, proof is in the pudding. I think Jacksonville Jaguars got rid of that J. Thomas guy, that tight end that came from Julius Thomas. I mean, Peyton Manning made that guy look. I don't even know, man. Peyton Manning made that guy look like he can walk on water. And people fail to realize Tony Romo, man. I know a lot of people hate Tony Romo, but look, when Tony Romo was throwing the ball, he made LaRon Robinson look like he can walk on water too as well. So people fail to realize that. Look, Dez Bryant, I love Dez Bryant to the core. He is a physical, dominant guy, passionate. But the thing is, I lost faith on Dez Bryant. And I know people going to say Dez Bryant not guilty. Shout out to Okoye who made the video. I know he got over 150,000 views out there for those who love Dez Bryant. But I can do the exact same video, and I promise you I can break it down just like no other. I can do the exact same video, Dez Bryant second year with Tony Romo throwing him the ball, and you guys will see the exact same film. Don't talk to me. Don't come to me with this Dez Bryant is the next Randy Moss. Go back, watch the film. I can promise you I put my bottom dollar on it. He ain't that type of elite receiver. I put that on there. Dez Bryant know that he ain't that type of guy. But at the same time, Dez Bryant going to give you those 3 routes. Dez Bryant going to give you those touchdowns that's going to make you look embarrassing out there. You know what I'm saying? If you put the ball and lob it up to him out there. But the thing is, we're not hating on Dez. The same simple fact when you're talking about a receiver that's a possession type of guy, we understand they type of career path. You look at the Keyshawn Johnsons, you look at the Roy Williams before he came to the Cowboys. You look at name me some more possession type of receivers that was out there, like Anquan Bolden. You know what I mean? These type of possession receivers, they're gonna give you 3, 4, 5 years that you're gonna be like, oh wow, man, that guy's tops. But when they get down towards the end of their career, they ain't like this world-class beat you down type of receiver. Come on now. Go back and watch the film. I'm just telling y'all the truth, man.
Man, it is hot. Where is the AC? Law's on fire.
Hey, look at it. He said, let me tell you something. He ain't Randy Moss.
He ain't no Randy Moss, man.
He said he ain't no Randy Moss.
He ain't Randy Moss. He ain't no Jerry Rice. Come on now. You know, I understand people fall in love with players. I understand that. I'm not saying that Dez Bryant is garbage. I'm not saying that he trash. Dez Bryant ain't Odell Beckham. Come on now. But we will get a lot of people out here to go back and say, well, man, Law Nation, man. Hey, what's this guy that played with Julio Jones? You know, oh, man, Julio Jones had numerous jobs too. Man, you're not going to win.
Julio Jones, Law, you know damn well Julio Jones is available for us. We be taking Julio Jones in a second. So anybody wants to sit there like, Julio Jones dropped 4 passes too. Man, Julio Jones better than Dez Bryant.
Come on,
Just stop.
man.
He's better.
Look,
He
man.
just is. And just let it go, people. It
Let
don't mean just because you're critical
go.
of a Dallas Cowboy player that you don't like the Dallas Cowboys. No, it means you're real. Okay? Everybody in Dallas ain't good. Every player on Dallas ain't good. And right now, we're looking at the crossroads of Dez Bryant's career. Honestly, this to me is Dez Bryant's last year in Dallas.
Yeah,
this is last year. Next year, 2019, I don't see Dez Bryant being with the Dallas Cowboys unless he catches 80 or 90 balls. And I don't know if that's going to happen with Dak Prescott.
The thing is, you do not win in the National Football League with an elite wide receiver, regardless of the scenario. Name me the last Super Bowl that was won with an elite wide receiver. Name me one. Go back. Talk to me. Somebody pull out. Somebody pull out some information.
Do we still kind of count Demaryius Thomas with Denver, even though that was a bad Denver offense that actually won it? Or do we say that he was too much on the decline and you have to go to the previous Super Bowl where they got waxed by the Seahawks?
What was the question?
The last elite wide receiver to win a Super Bowl. I'm waiting.
Oof. I'm not calling Demaryius Thomas.
Somebody said 2006 Colts, Law. So you trying to
Marvin Harrison?
So there you go. So everybody know 2006 was a long ass time ago. You cannot win with 2006 philosophy, basically.
And
I challenge anybody. I'll debate.
But you didn't win. They didn't win that damn Super Bowl because of no Marvin Harrison.
No,
let's just jump off of that one. If you're saying elite receiver, Marvin Harrison was elite, but they didn't win that damn Super Bowl because no Marvin Harrison. So just stop it. And now I got some people on my page defending Dez Bryant.
Hold on. So somebody said
defending Dez over Julio Jones, saying, my guy Frederick, he said that Julio only had like 11 touchdowns in two years. Okay, but okay? Let me just ask you, Derek, and I'm gonna ask you. And this ain't no bust. If you had Julio Jones and you had Dez Bryant, and they said you can take either one of these players right now, who are you gonna take?
I'm gonna take Julio.
Exactly.
That's not even a question.
It's not a question. It's not a second thought. It's no disrespect to Dez. He's not better than Julio Jones. Just stop it.
Hey, over here in the Silver and Blue Nation Facebook Live comments, and I want to thank everybody who's tuned in so far. This is the Dallas Prospect live stream. We're on a ton of different platforms with Law Nation, Silver and Blue Nation, Big Game James, Derek. Everybody's in here right now. Producer G.
I got to get a nickname.
Jawan James, he says the Ravens released Jeremy Maclin. Do you guys think he's done? He might be cheap.
Cheap would have to be the right word. I think he's very close to done. Yeah, I think he's. Yeah.
Nah, leave him alone. Let's go get. What is Moncrief still on the Dante? Is it from the Colts? Is he still on the market?
I'm not sure about Moncrief, but you know what? I want to jump back into the comments real quick because Richie Cochran Jr., thanks for tuning in. He's going back to the question about the last elite receiver to win a Super Bowl, and he says Santonio Holmes. I would say no.
Moncrief to the Jags.
When I think elite, I'm not thinking Santonio Holmes.
No, Santonio Holmes is not elite. I'm sorry. He's my Facebook friend too. And if you listen to this, San Antonio, don't unfriend me. But you were not an elite receiver like that.
Derek had the answer for us.
Moncrief went to the Jags yesterday.
For Moncrief, there.
Damn it.
Bam Franklin over here in the Silver and Blue Nation comments. He says if they're smart, they'd make Dez a hybrid tight end with his size and just keep him in the slot, and he has to reinvent himself like a Larry Fitzgerald.
Well, I would say maybe put him in the slot, but he damn sure ain't playing no tight end. He can't block. Well, he can block, but he ain't blocking like no tight end.
Man, he's been in the league 7-8 years. He still hasn't learned all of the different routes to run as a receiver. So we're going to switch him to a tight end now and tell him he's got to learn a whole new role, and let alone a physical one. Like Dez is already a physical receiver, and that's like a huge aspect of it. So part of his decline has been the physical punishment he puts on himself by refusing to go down, refusing to go out of bounds. We love it we love it when you see it happening, but it does take an impact. It does take a toll on the player. And now talking about moving him to tight end, that just sets him up for more punishment and all of that. I don't like that for Dez, especially.
I don't even think he would do that.
Yeah.
He wouldn't even do that.
I'm getting the notion that too many people playing Madden, man. You can't put Dez out there, man, on the tight end. That means he's going to have to be blocking linebackers. They're going to share. They're going to blow him up, man. I mean, they're just – come on, man.
Richie Cochran Jr. said Hines Ward, the same person that said Santonio Holmes. So, again, you might be right about Hines Ward, but, again, even if that's the case, you're going back, 12, 13 years or more? So it's been a long time. That was the point.
I mean, I'm sorry. Hines Ward, was a dog. But when I heard of Hines Ward, I didn't think of, elite receiver. No, I didn't. No, I did not. And y'all didn't either. So
man.
Hey, man, he had a better quarterback rating than Ben Roethlisberger in that Super Bowl.
Bam Franklin's responding to what you guys said about Dez Bryant being tight end. He says he would be a mismatch for linebackers and strong safeties. I'm just saying.
He'd get killed the first time that he had to block one.
Yeah, he was that linebacker. Because think about it. We're talking about he'd be a mismatch for linebackers. Did we watch how many times? No, I'm not. Let me. I don't want to go off because I know I might get a whole bunch of unfollowed people today because they said I don't like Dez Bryant. They're going to unfollow me today. Go ahead and unfollow me. I don't care.
Now Sieber's with you.
You can unfollow me because I'm talking about Dez. I don't care. But look, check this out. Now you made me lose my train of thought.
Well,
come to the prospect. We have cookies.
Well, I can change the topic if you want. You were going to say something about Dez. But I can change. Okay.
We're talking Dez tight end.
All right.
With Dez with tight end. Now, did we see last year how many times Dez was going to catch a pass? Not a lot of times, but he was about to get smacked and he dropped it.
Yep.
I know at least 3 passes that he dropped last year when he saw he was about to get hit and he pulled his arms back in or he dropped the ball because he was looking at that contact. So if he were to go to tight end and he had a linebacker smacking him and he's already been injury prone his whole career. Dez has been injured his whole career.
All right. I know you guys might have already hit on this a little bit. And actually, before we get to this question, let me thank everyone once again who's tuning in on Silver and Blue Nation, all the different platforms. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from, where you representing the Cowboys from. Xavier Giles tunes in on Silver and Blue Nation. What's up, Xavier? We appreciate you tuning in. Jesse Raymond Nicole says, let's get the honey badger.
It ain't happening.
Nah. Dallas isn't even looking to pick him up. They've expressed no interest at all. He's always hurt. He's had 2 knee surgeries, and he's kind of one of those guys with some off-the-field stuff, although recent years I don't think has been as bad in that regard.
Mm-hmm. And then, like I'm going to say this again, guys. Just because somebody have different opinions, you got to have strong opinions. And those convinced against their will is of the same opinion still anyway. So I don't try to change your mind. But the thing is with this altogether, look, is Dez going to be the number 1 receiver for the Cowboys coming this upcoming season? Yes, he's going to be the X receiver. I understand that. We're not trying to say we cut him now and they're going to go and get somebody. What we're saying is that, look, the writing is on the wall. We understand what Dak Prescott is. It's his 3rd year. If Dak Prescott don't step up through his throws, read through his progressions, pre-snap read. If he don't develop and help and elevate himself too as well, he's going to have a calling card because this is a crucial year for Dak Prescott too as well. So I'm not skating on Dak Prescott. I'm thinking that Dak Prescott better get his butt out there and play and throw the ball down the field too as well. So my thing is Dak Prescott, he gives you a better chance to win than any other quarterback now that we have on our roster. I can say that. I can beat my chest to that drum. But I'm telling you right now that if Ezekiel Elliott is out there and you got Dak Prescott, man, this is a whole different type of team. And you trying to tell me, look, all last year, I know I'm long-winded on this. All last year we was 9-7. But if you mean to tell me if Ezekiel Elliott didn't have this situation with Roger Goodell, that horrible guy that's out there trying to run this NFL league, if you didn't have that situation going, there's no way in life. I'm going to repeat, there's no way in life we go 9-7. Now I put that on everything that I own. There's no way in life if Ezekiel Elliott played 16 weeks that we would have went 9-7. That's just the thing. That's all I had to say on that.
Hey, let me jump back in here and real quick before you hold your thought on there, big game. James, because I just want to thank everybody tune in and give us a like and a share if you like this video. My guy Michael Graves Jr. from Galveston, Texas. We appreciate you tuning in. Everybody's chiming in with where they're watching from. We appreciate that. We got a couple more comments. Big Game James, do you want to get to your thought, or do you want to hear one of these other comments?
Go ahead, go with them comments. I got to bring my thought back to my head.
Sorry about that. That's my fault. I just want to make sure that we're getting everybody involved here who's watching with us, because we appreciate that. Everybody who's tuning in. David Gold, says...
I got it. It came back.
Dave, all right. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to expand on the Dak Prescott thing. Because on my page, I got some people who are Dak Prescott haters, and they just think I'm a Dak Prescott lover. Oh, you just love Dak Prescott. You don't say one bad thing about no Dak Prescott, though. Because he's a third-year player. I'm not going to dog him right now, because 3 years is when I get to know what a player is. So if Dak Prescott comes and does a crappy year next year, guess what I'm going to be doing next year? I'm going to be on Dak Prescott. I'm like, guess what? We might have to get another back. That's exactly what I'm going to say. Okay? So I'm not a Dak Prescott lover. I'm a Super Bowl lover.
There you go. Get him. Darreck, man. What's your thoughts on that, man?
Man, so Dak had a phenomenal rookie year. His second year, he was uneven at times in the first half of the season, but I would still say overall he was still pretty good. It wasn't until the Zeke suspension kicked in and then he got murdered in Atlanta that he just completely kind of fell apart. And he still had a couple decent games. I thought he had from a mentally tough standpoint, I thought he had a good performance at New York late in the season, but he was never the same after that. And so we need to see a bounce back year from him for sure. And I think he'll do it. But, G, what you got to those comments?
Yeah, if we want to jump back in the comments, David Gold, and a lot of people are wondering about the receiver position. I mean, because, we probably have lost Bryce Butler. And, I know you guys are saying that Dez is probably going to be the number one wide receiver, but we really don't know. You never know what could happen. There could be a trade on draft day. Things could happen. You could draft a number one receiver. You never know. They could make him a post-June 1st cut to save money. I mean, I have no idea, but anything can happen. So that's a topic right now, and David Gold's asking, how would you feel about Mike Wallace? Isn't he still on the market? And then someone else also asking about Martavis Bryant.
Now, Martavis Bryant, hell to the super yeah. I've been on Martavis Bryant since last season, mid-season, when they were talking about he was mad and he wanted to trade it before the trade deadline. Get that man if he's available. Now, I heard before, I think last week, they said they were listening to talks about trades. Then they said no, so I don't really know what's going to happen with him. Mike Wallace, that's a hell no. No. Don't want no Mike Wallace, but we definitely want some Martavis Bryant. Get his butt in here. Now, I know they're going to say, yeah, why you going to bring him in? He smoked weed too. Okay, I know, but guess what? He came back from his suspension, and he made it a whole year. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he can continue to do good. I do worry about him coming to Dallas, though, because we don't have the greatest culture for you if you have problems.
You right. Him and Josh Gordon, man. I'm telling you, those guys, man. Oh, my God. Thank you for tuning in to the Law Nation Film Session as we take a deeper look at boy, we're going to be blazing down the field, man.
Hey, guys, for some people who just tuned in, because a lot of people weren't with us earlier, we still going to re-hit on some of the things that we've already talked about. First, let me thank Cameron Borland from Stockton, California, Keith Caldwell from Atlanta, Gerald Potter in Dallas, Sieber in Vegas. We're just all over the country. I mean, it's amazing. Jesse Raymond Nichols asked about Earl Thomas. What might happen there? What would you like to see happen right there? What would you give up for him? Those kind of things.
Look, the thing is with Earl Thomas, he's eventually going to come to the Cowboys, in my opinion. He got one more year with Seattle Seahawks. They just trying to skate out of the $10 million. Something is going to shake. Something is going to fold, I think, around the draft time if we don't make a deal before that draft. Now, if that all being said, he played his whole entire year, and then after this year, I think he's going to be a bona fide free agent, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
And then he's going to just say, okay, I want to play for – no man goes out there and runs down a mediocre coach and say, hey, I want to play for your team. Yeah, and say, hey, I want to play for you. Come get me. You know what I mean? Yeah, that just don't happen in this world. You know, you don't go run to Walmart and say, hey, Walmart, come work. I want to work for you, Walmart. I want to work for you. I want to bag these groceries. You know, you just don't do that, man. I just never seen it before. You know,
and here's
I
the
might be
thing
wrong.
no, Law, you are right, because the biggest thing to me is he came to Jason Garrett. Who the hell is Jason Garrett for you to be running to and say, come get me? Jason Garrett is whack.
Hey, he didn't care. It was just the head coach.
Jason Garrett? I said Garrett. See, you got me saying that, Law. Jason Garrett. Anyway, Jason Garrett is whack. So you got Earl Thomas coming over there to Jason Garrett, like, come grab me. So, man, yeah, you got to try to make something happen with that. You ain't getting a first rounder, though. We ain't making that happen. But you got to make something happen with that when he's coming up to Jason Garrett saying, come get me. Woo-wee. He got to love Dallas.
All right, so back over here into our Facebook Live comments, and I know you guys are monitoring some as well, so if you want to give out some shout-outs, you can do that as well. I'm over here on the Silver and Blue Nation page, and Hirsch Patel, appreciate you tuning in. He brings up a good point. He said, let's talk about our own players. He says, do we need to keep Byron outside and move Lewis inside to cover the slot receiver, or do we keep Byron in the slot?
Byron in the slot. Keep Lewis on the outside. If you watch Jordan Lewis's career at Michigan, he was an outside cornerback. Don't pigeonhole Jordan Lewis because you're looking at his size. That's the only reason why you want to move Jordan Lewis to the slot, because you're looking at 5'10" and Byron Jones is 6 foot. But I keep on going back to that New York Giants. Janoris Jenkins is little. He plays outside. Before Rogers Cromartie got cut, he was the slot corner. He was 6'2". So Byron Jones, if you watch Byron Jones, he's nasty in the slot. Even his percentage per Pro Football Weekly, he was one of the best at guarding the slot corners when he was playing the safety position. So throw Byron Jones in the slot, keep Jordan Lewis on the outside, because Jordan Lewis is a dog. And he is going to be even a better player next year. Keep Jordan Lewis on the outside. I think he's just so much better on there.
But they got to make decisions soundly. When we was down there in the goal line, when you get down there towards the money zone, goal zone, red zone, however you want to call it, man, don't put Jordan Lewis on the tight end.
Yeah.
Don't do that. You got to make those. Jimmy Graham just made Jordan Lewis look like a puppy out there. Come on now. You got to switch Byron Jones out there. I want our coaching decision out there as far as defense. And I hope Chris Richard can think. I hope he can just go out there and say, okay, I know for sure Jordan Lewis is 5'9.5", give or take. I'm going to switch Byron Jones on this big guy on the outside.
If you're just joining us, this is the Dallas Prospect Live simulcast on several different platforms, Law Nation, Big Game James. Go over and check them out on YouTube as well. Go subscribe to the channels. I'm staying over here in the comments, guys, because the topics are rolling in. So we've got Bam Bam Castro.
Everybody up late tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing well right now, and I want to appreciate everybody. And if you like the video, make sure you give us a like and a share. Or just give us a big thumbs up on YouTube as well. Bam Bam Castro, he says, who do you guys see us, or what do you see the Cowboys' record being this year? He wants to know from each of you, what will the record be, and just your general input on why it would be that way.
Let me take another look at the schedule real quick.
I know it's hard to say right now because we still have the draft and teams are going to change a lot. But if you guys kind of want to look ahead a little bit, I don't know, what do you kind of see? I guess you can pull up the opponents. The schedule isn't set yet.
Look, man, I don't.
If you want to take that question,
the opponents are set.
Look, I don't even need to look at the schedule. I'm gonna tell you right now. Look, call me right now, a delusional fan. But this is an even year, and Jason Garrett hit something about.
Playoffs.
We going to the playoff, baby. Y'all know we going to the playoffs
this year. You know that. This is his year to go to the playoffs. This is his even year, just like you said. 2014, playoffs. 2015, no playoffs. 2016, playoffs. 2017, no playoffs. So guess where we're going, folks? We're going to the playoffs in 2018, and we're going to lose again in the first round.
No, man, we going to the Super Bowl, baby. I'm taking my shirt off over here, baby. Right, we going to the Super Bowl. 12-4, baby. 12
on that.
12-4. 12-4, man. We going 12-4.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
11-5.
Okay, let me run through the opponents here. We don't have dates, but I'm going to give you guys a chance to just take a second to
We're going to the
reevaluate.
playoffs, Derek. It's way
I want it to be right, but I also want to be a little bit impartial. So we got Lions. I feel good there, obviously. We got Jacksonville. I don't like that. We got the Saints. Yeah, that's true, but everything else will kick our butt probably. Right. They got the Saints, Giants, Eagles, of course, Tampa Bay, Tennessee, of course, Washington, Atlanta, Carolina, at Houston. Obviously, I haven't been saying home or away on most of these. Indianapolis, that's nothing. Giants, Eagles, Seahawks, at Seattle again, and Washington. So they actually have a deceptively strong schedule. That's not a hard record.
That's 11-5.
That's 11-5 for you? All right.
That's 11-5.
Give me 10-6 in a wild card.
Look, hey, I'm going to say this right now. On the high end, I'm going to do this then. On the high end, I say 12-4. On the low end, I say 10-6. So at the end of the day, if we go to the wild card, I would rather, believe it or not, because I don't like Jason Garrett having these break in between schedule, what have you. I want him to go through the wild. I want him somehow to go through the wild card and
play on the road.
Momentum and play on the road. Something about Texas Stadium, Arlington, whatever you want to call it, it's something about that is just kind of crazy with me. So, yeah, I can see that,
And not having that bye week. Just keep that momentum rolling, like you said.
We cannot have a bye week with Jason Garrett. We have to play every week. Can't have no bye weeks for Jason Garrett. And we have to play on the road, just like you said, Law, because we don't have no kind of home field advantage at that stadium, for real, like none. Like as soon as they score a touchdown in Dallas, it gets quiet in there. So that's just kind of crazy to me. But, yeah, it seems like even when the 2014 season, we were undefeated on the road that year.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you guys. I can see like a 10-6, 11-5. David Gold agrees with you too. He says 11-5 over here in the Facebook Live comments. If we missed any of your comments, we apologize for that. Just keep them coming in, and I'm trying to look through them all and pick out my favorite ones and read them out. So if we missed a comment, keep them coming. Keep letting us know where you're watching from. Earl Thomas in North Carolina, appreciate you tuning in. Terry Turner in Jacksonville, thank you. Annette in Baltimore, Ohio, we appreciate that. Jawan James in Savannah, Georgia.
Virginia's finest over here on the Dallas Prospect YouTube.
So I've got that's awesome. Awesome. Yes, we have a lot of different.
Shout out to about 200 strong up here in the Law Nation.
Strong?
That's nice. We appreciate that. Let
me see. I ain't got 200 strong, Nation.
We're at about 30 over here on
Silver from Alaska. That's my dog. Columbus Jones from Alaska, Jesse Reed. We always go back and forth. He never agrees with me. I just think you just want to hate Jesse, but you my dog. And Mama T is up in the house. We coming down to North Carolina, Mama T. I promise you, we're going to do a live show, and you're going to cook me some good food.
Silver and Blue Nation regulars.
And, Eric Dawson is kicking in Cali. He said it ain't late out here. He said it's early in Cali, so salutes to you, Cali's finest out there, Eric Dawson.
What we got, G?
So David Gold, I was bouncing off him because he agreed with you on 11-5, but then he also kind of calls you out because he says he wants you to explain why you're saying no to Mike Wallace. And then also, it's kind of a two-part. Then you can go into people asking about Michael Crabtree. Gerald Potter wants to know about Michael Crabtree. But first, why no Mike Wallace?
Why no Mike Wallace? Because what has Mike Wallace ever done? He ain't never did nothing, and he's older now. What Mike Wallace called to fame was his speed. Okay, that speed went down a little bit. I seen him last year. He got caught from behind. He ran along. I seen him get caught from behind. But to me, Mike Wallace is not no kind of threat. He ain't doing nothing to nobody. Well, when Mike Wallace was at Pittsburgh, he was okay. He got cut. Went to what? Minnesota. Lasted how long? Okay, he's been like a journeyman now. I don't want Mike Wallace. That's why.
Too many teams.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to answer the second part of that question?
What was the second part? I'm sorry, sir.
A couple people, and Gerald Potter's question, they want to know about Michael Crabtree.
Crabtree. Crabtree.
I like him.
I don't know about Crabtree. Crabtree is like a half and half guy. I kind of want Crabtree because I feel like he's still good.
Got to man that up.
Crabtree, he kind of annoying.
Got to man that up, Crabtree.
He gets his chain snatched off. He gets his chain snatched.
Last season, Crabtree, 58 receptions, 618 yards, 8 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a decent number 2 in my mind.
He's a decent.
I'd be all right with that as a 2. If you're giving me that or Terrence Williams, I'll take Crabtree.
But that's what I'm saying. If you got Crabtree, then you got to get rid of Terrence Williams.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree with
Sweet Feet, man. Hell with that Crabtree, man.
You said Sweet Feet.
Keep me Sweet Feet, man. Look, man. Bryce Butler better than all of them. Hell, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Bryce would have been nice.
Should we talk Jordy Nelson at all?
Oh my God!
Is he still visiting the Packers? I mean,
he's set to visit Oakland. Looks like tomorrow. I actually think he'll probably end up with New England
Patriots.
Because Amendola just moved on.
He's going to Oakland. Yeah. He's about to go visit John Gruden and Derek Carr. He's going to Oakland. He's out in the Bay. He ain't going nowhere once he goes out there.
But just like you said, Law, John Gruden is overhyped, ain't he?
Man,
I agree with that.
Win nothing.
I agree with that. But he's overhyped, but he's hyped though. He's overhyped, but he is hyped. So you can't take that away from him.
And Michael Crabtree's Twitter handle is King Crab. I'm out on that guy. Move on.
Hey, Law said it. Law said it. I mean, you can't just get your chain snatched, especially twice by the same dude. Come on, man. So back over here in the Facebook comments, if that's all right with you guys.
Yes.
Ryan Dye and Terry Turner, a couple people asking about the draft. We want to get back in the draft a little bit, so we can kind of get into that. And Ryan Dye says he thinks Christian Kirk would be a good one to look at. And then Terry Turner's wanting to know what would it take to get Roquan Smith or Derwin James.
Trading up.
Go ahead, y'all.
I mean, Roquan and Darren, you might have to just lose some of those picks and trade up and go get them. The Christian Kirk guy, you can't keep Cole Beasley and have Christian Kirk on your team. You see, you're going to have to cut some thread somewhere. You got to cut somebody, But Christian Kirk on this team, he's such a Dak-friendly guy. But to me, don't sleep on DJ Moore. Look up DJ Moore.
DJ Moore is real good.
He's a better pick for this Cowboys versus a Christian Kirk, in my opinion.
I totally agree with you on that, Law. I watched actually DJ Moore tape, and the dude is just an all-around receiver. He can do whatever you want. And what really helped him is he ran a 4.43 at the Combine. We actually got to see him. Now, we actually, when me and G went to the Combine, we saw Moore, we saw Christian Kirk. Now, watching Christian Kirk at the Combine, he's a good player. He is explosive. He is crisp. He's a good player. I think he's going to be a good player down the line. But I do agree with you, Law. I think DJ Moore just has more all-around game to him. He can do a lot for you. And he's one of those guys that's not flashy, but by the end of the game, he'll have one of those 9 catches, 120 yards, and you won't be splashy, but he gets the job done. As far as, like in the first round, though, please don't go get a Christian Kirk in the first round or nothing like that. Wait for later on, because if you're getting a receiver in the first round at that high, that means that guy is your number one coming in and doing the job. And besides Calvin Ridley, I just don't see anybody that's a number one guy that's going to come in and dominate like that in this year's class of the receivers. There's just a lot of good receivers, not great ones.
Mm-hmm. Y'all listen, man. Yay. And that Ridley kid, man, I'm telling you, he's polished. You ever looked at a smooth rock? You just try to find out somewhere. You look, if you have a smooth rock, you sitting there like, man, where the edge is at? That's who he is, man. He's smooth. He's polished. I think he's a student of the game. Now, the only problem, my only reservation is that when you look at Calvin Ridley, you might see his ceiling. You know, what Michael Jordan said, the ceiling is the roof.
And he's not a big guy either.
He's not a big guy. So you going what you see out of Calvin Ridley, that's all. That's it. You might not see no more development after that. He is 189 pounds. He is smaller in frame. But when you look at a DJ Moore, if you look at a Christian Kirk, if you look at a DJ Chalk, if you look at the Gallup kid, those guys you can see, or even the Sutton, those guys you can see that they can even develop even more into a beast of a receiver. So just give them time. I mean, it is what it is. You can't go wrong with any of those choices, but Calvin is what you see. It's what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
So which of those two do you guys think would be more likely to fall to like a second round? Because I don't want to see us take a receiver in the first round I would rather see us address like linebacker or even safety. So of those two, or even Kirk, who do you think would be most likely to fall to the second round where we could maybe get him then, even if it meant trading up in round 2?
I think Kurt would be more of a second rounder. I think DJ Moore elevated his status, and I think Moore might creep in there because a lot of people are talking about DJ Moore now. A lot of people are talking about DJ Moore, and it's well served because he is a really good receiver. And he's big. He's like he measured in at 6 foot. He was about 210 pounds. So he got a stocky frame, so he can take punishment. He can take a hit. So to me, Christian Kirk would be the more realistic player being in that second round because he's kind of just like one of more explosive. He can do punt returning. He's an explosive guy. We don't know if he's an all-around guy, so I could see him slipping more in the second round because I feel like DJ Moore is a more all-around receiver, and that will elevate him to getting drafted higher because of that.
There you go.
Well, to bounce off what you're saying right there, because I've seen a couple of comments over here on Silver and Blue Nation Facebook Live as well. How are the Cowboys? How do you see them addressing the wide receiver position this offseason period, whether it's draft or free agency? And as I said, they have lost Bryce Butler, so something's going to have to be changed. And another thing that I've said before is, too, if we don't see a change, we're going to go back into the season with Bryant, Williams, and Beasley again as the top 3 guys, and we're probably going to be complaining about the same exact things next year if that's what happens. So I see a change coming. What do you think is going to happen? How are they going to address this receiver position? Obviously, Ryan Switzer could be a guy that gets more time, so that in itself would help change things. But what do you think they're going to do as far as adding a new player, just whether it's free agency or draft?
I could jump right on in on this right here because I'm thinking that I'm looking at Swit's going to be your inside guy. He's going to be your slot guy. Don't sleep on Noah Brown. I think his development part towards the end of the season, I think he's developing to that number 2 guy. So you're going to see a little bit more play out of Noah Brown. And then on top of that, if you really think about it, this Lance Lenore guy, maybe, and I'm talking about just maybe, he can be another rotational piece. These are just our own guys. And they went out and got a KD Cannon, so I really can't wait to see what he's going to do this offseason.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I personally like Lance Lenore a lot myself. I see
Drummond too.
Drummond, yeah. I haven't seen a lot about him, but I will be excited to see what those guys can bring to the table in the preseason or the camp that's coming up. Lionel Montgomery wants to know about Ndamukong Suh. And before you guys answer that, I just want to advise everybody, myself, because this is the trend. Do not get excited about when guys get cut because we see it every year. Every time a guy gets cut, everybody wants to, should the Cowboys get him? Should the Cowboys get him? And you know what? I'm going to keep putting those poll questions out there because you guys like that, but that's not going to happen in my mind. I don't see that happening. None of these big names. It just hasn't happened anytime lately. We're still not in, the right cap frame, to be able to do that. And it's going back from all the mistakes that have been made. Maybe in a couple of years it will be, but not right now. So what do you guys think about that? It's Lionel Montgomery asking about Ndamukong Suh.
We had about 7 minutes where we had reported interest in Suh earlier today. It was first reported that Oakland and Dallas had interest, and they posted a correction saying, no, it's actually Seattle and Dallas. And then about 5 minutes later, they're like, never mind, Dallas isn't really that interested. Well, I think Dallas would be interested if the price was right. They're not afraid to pay him, but they're not going to pay him what he wants. And so if his number's not coming down, there's no way in hell Dallas is going to even look at him.
And you know what? You just said it because just in interest, what does interest mean when they show interest? Because if you're asking him how much money he wants, is that interest? You know what I mean? That could be all that is, of course, they want to talk to him. They want to see how much he wants. So there's your interest.
Yep.
Right. Exactly. As soon as he says, I want $10 million a year, they're like, bye.
Before we wrap it up here, because I'm sure everybody's.
But the thing is now there is 2 phases to this thing. There's 2 folds to the free agency. There's this free agency period now there everybody kind of like looking at players and saying, okay, we need to make some things happen. And then there's the draft. And then for sure after the draft, the NFL draft, the rookies and everybody that's signed to the team, the team's going to have to start making room for those new draft picks. So you're going to see some more big names out there that's going to be released from the team, and then we may have a better opportunity to grab those type of guys. Because I think we should have a little bit more money to take a look at some players, or we might have to end up getting rid of some guys that we think that might be on this team that are no longer here.
Well, we know Skander's going to save us a little bit. But that's kind of what I was getting at earlier. As you know, when we try to look at into next year, it's kind of hard to say right now because teams are going to change so much. You're going to see so many names leaving and going, and going to new places, new faces. So a lot to still be done before we can determine any type of record. But I guess if you're going on right now, that would be what we said earlier. But I guess before we wrap it up here, because I know it's getting late and we've been on here for a while. We're still going strong. I still got 35 over here on Silver and Blue Nation. I don't know what you guys are at, but I'm pretty happy with that right now at this time of night. Terry Turner wants to know all your first-round picks. If you could have any guy, or realistic, who would you take at that spot?
James, lead off.
Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker. I love him. I want him. Go get him.
I was waiting for the rest of that jingle.
Hey, can you dive a little deeper into that though, as of to why and what he'll do to help out the Cowboys defense?
Well, the main reason why I like Tremaine Edmonds, I just keep going back to Rolando McClain. He really made a difference to me, and it just hurt my soul when Sean Lee got hurt and they couldn't have played together that whole freaking year. Like, I was so geeked up when I saw McClain, and I was like, oh, him and Sean Lee are just going to be nasty together. And, the hurt, Sean Lee gets hurt. But when you saw what Rolando McClain changed our defense in the middle with that size, reason he could stop the run and he could drop in coverage. And when I watched Tremaine Edmonds, when you watch him, he's not afraid to stick his nose in there. He attacks the ball. He attacks the ball carrier. He doesn't wait for action. He goes and creates action. So that's what gets me excited first. He doesn't mind the contact. Second of all, I love that size. 6'4", 250 linebacker. You can't teach that size. And then you got him, and he's only 19 years old. And if you look at his career at Virginia Tech, each year he got better and better. He didn't taper off. And this last year, he went off and exploded. So that's what gives me excitement when I got a young kid with great size, and each year he gets better and better. And whenever he played a tough team, he always showed up. So that's why I want a guy like that. You can stick him with the Jalen Smith and then a Sean Lee and add another linebacker. Then I feel a little bit better about a linebacking core going forward.
Hey, I got Darren Trinidad James. You go out there and you get that guy, man. I'm telling you, I'm a defensive guy. I love defense, So I'm looking at it from that aspect. You go out and you grab Derwin James, for sure. You don't have to worry at all with your secondary. You don't have to worry at all. We got Chris Richards out there. You understand that, okay, maybe you can find some other pieces that can put together as far as their front four. But now you don't have to worry about nothing. Your secondary from your cornerback outlook of things all the way through your safety is good. You got every piece that you need out there. And then if you go in the second round and you get an Isaiah Wynn, maybe you can figure out a way to get an Isaiah Wynn. He can just be as serviceable. And one can argue and say, hell, he's better than Hernandez. There could be another debate somewhere else. But hey, you get him, that'll be Zeke's toy. You're going to have Ezekiel Elliott averaging 5, 6, 7, 8 yards a carry. Not 8 yards. I'm just being crazy on that one. He said but yeah, he said all type of records. But you're gonna have, if you have a better running game out of Ezekiel Elliott, that's better defense. And we was number 8 overall collectively in defense last year. Now, if you got Isaiah Wynn, now you're talking about sliding that number, because now you're going to be able to run a better offense as far as keeping Dak Prescott upright. Ezekiel Elliott is going to pound the rock, get more yards. We're going to have a better goal line, money zone, money type of threat out there when you get towards the end zone. So now you have all those pieces added together. Man, you're talking about, I guarantee you, without even looking at the schedule, I guarantee you a top 5 defense. Defense win championships. That's just my thoughts.
For the sake of going a different answer, since both you guys swiped my answers. Don't worry. I knew I should have let off. Dang it.
You know you should have let off. You know you should have let off.
I know, and yet I kicked it to you. Nah, for the sake of a different answer, I'm gonna say I'd like to see a impactful defensive tackle. I don't think Dallas values that position as a first-round grade, but a guy like Vita Vea or Darren Payne out of Alabama would be another one I'd be interested in seeing. I want to see a big presence in the middle, a run stopper, a guy who can still put a little bit of pressure on the quarterback. And I think that's something we haven't really had with Rod Marinelli's defense in Dallas. We've had guys that flashed, like Irving has kind of done that at times when he's been put in that position. But beyond that, I just think that's a big thing that we need, and that's a critical part of the kind of defense we run. So that's something I would say, but that would probably fall after both the answers you guys gave, because those would be probably my first two preferences.
Well, I'm going to go a completely different direction, too. I'm just going to go ahead. Since neither one of you guys said it, I'm going to say wide receiver. I think I'd like to get Calvin Ridley right there in that spot at number 19. And I'd like him to come in, and that's going to be that change that I'm talking about. What was the biggest thing we were all complaining about last year? Was that wide receiver position. Defense ended up being all right. What was hurting us? The receivers. How much did we complain last year about those wide receivers? And like I just said earlier, if we don't do something, if we don't draft a guy high, he's probably not going to see the field that much. So we need to get a playmaker right there, and then we can decide what to do with Dez later. But I need to see a change on that offense, particularly in that receiving core, because they were dull last year. They dropped balls. They just couldn't get open. I mean, I know Dak was to blame for a lot of that too, but you need to see some kind of change there. We need a guy who can come in that's young and get up under Dak and, look up to Dak. Dak can mold him and tell him what he wants to do versus Dez, who is the veteran already, where he's got this young guy coming in. He's not going to, his ego probably won't even let him, get down and accept what Dak's going to tell him what to do. So, unlike when he came in, when he was drafted, Dez Bryant was drafted, Tony Romo was already a veteran, so he came in as the young guy. So it's kind of like a reverse role. But I just think a receiver needs to come in so we can see something different on that side of it and, hopefully help the offense.
I think receiver is a huge need as well. I think as well, though, one of the big things other than, the lack of offensive firepower we saw last year, for a while there when Zeke first went out, man, and that, 3-game losing streak started, we were just getting killed. I mean, over the middle, linebacker to me is, I think, the biggest need, and I think there is enough depth at the receiver in the draft throughout the first few rounds. I think you can still get a solid playmaker who will work his way into that rotation.
I hear what you're saying, but my argument to that is if we draft him later, he's not going to play. If you get him early, he's making money. He has to get out there.
Let me say this, G. If you say that now, what if Dallas drafts that St. Thomas in the 3rd, 4th round? You think he can't force his way on the field with that size and that ability?
If he can get in the 3rd round, maybe, but 4th round, no. Wouldn't you say Ryan Switzer's better than Cole Beasley, most likely?
I mean,
why is he not going to?
Because the numbers, but I feel like he could be.
Well,
better
you
than
want
Beasley,
him.
yes.
You want him there and Beasley out, but why isn't he going to see the field? Because Cole Beasley's making more money, and if you're a higher draft pick, you're making more money, and there's pressure on the coaching staff and the owners, everybody, to get him on the field because that's the guy that they're paying. That's
certainly a huge part of it because when we draft guys, we give them our legendary numbers, right? We gave Dez 88. That anointed him from the moment he was drafted that he was going to be on the field and that he was going to be a big part of what we tried to do. Now, he still came in as, the start of his rookie year, kind of like a number 3 receiver, number 2 receiver, sort of. So he still had to elevate, but, I mean, it's about the expectation. If you take a receiver, understanding whether you get him in round 1 or 2, maybe 3 would be a little bit of a push. But if you take him in one of those first couple rounds, I think it's a pretty clear indicator depending on where you feel the offense is. Obviously, I think in this case, Dallas is going to say, hey, whoever we take in one of these early rounds, this is going to be the successor to Dez. This is going to be the guy who in a year or 2 is our number 1 guy. So I think in that case, there's still a little bit of leeway.
Yeah, that's another good reason to take a guy high because you do want that successor as well. Because you know how receivers get. They hit that wall and boom, they're done, fall off. And you said it yourself, Big Game James. Dez Bryant is not a student of the game. He's not going to change and evolve like a Larry Fitzgerald or an Anquan Bolden. So I don't know. I just think that receiver is important. But like you guys said, though, but you guys made a great point, and you can't even argue it. What team with an elite receiver has won a Super Bowl? But that's not even what I want. I just want a guy to change things up. Somebody who Dak can mold himself. Like you said, I don't think the Dak and Dez connection is just going to work. Before we get out of here, Frank Clark wants to know, are we doing a live draft show?
We're gonna be. I know I'm gonna be live at the draft, so we can figure out something. We got a lot of things going on with Mark Holmes, Joe Boo Nation. Well, not Joe Boo Nation, but Joe Boo Sports Report, Silver and Blue Nation. We're gonna do a lot of things, man. We got a lot of things in the fray. So around the draft time,
just make sure you stay tuned to see, because we gonna make it in the place to be. I've been having raps the last 3 weeks. I'm getting a little bit excited about that rap career on the low.
Yes, indeed. So let me wrap this thing around, man. Hey, I really thank everybody for being in. I'm gonna give a shout out to those Ant Beast 23, Antoine 59, Big D for life. Shout out to you two as well. K1LO6, thank you. My guy, my brother from another mother, Roy, holding it down in the Big Easy, man. Thank you for being on this show, man. Thank you everybody for being in the chat box, man. It's been a pleasure altogether, man, for you guys being out here. Hirsch, go ahead. What's up?
I got a question here from Virginia's finest. He wants to know if Big Game James is going to try and grow his beard out like you and I.
And we were talking about that earlier.
That's so funny, because you remember we was talking about it off air, D. I was like, I gotta get my beard like y'all, but I can't. Hey, listen, I try. I scrape it twice. I get 3 hairs on the left, 3 hairs on the right. That's as far as it's going. Because in 2 days, I'm gonna be fresh and younger again. I look old now. You will see me look young in 2 days.
That was a great question. Hey, do you guys want any more questions, or are you ready to wrap it up?
I'm sleepy.
Yeah.
All right.
You guys are like 12:30 now, right? Yeah. So I think we're good to wrap up. The one thing I'll say real quick: next Thursday, not tomorrow, next Thursday, Mexico, our happy hour event in Plano, Texas. It's going to be happy hour event. We're going to have Law Nation there. We're going to have Big Game James. I'm going to be there, and we're going to have our special guest Computer from 3-6 Mafia. You've heard him probably on the ticket during the Cowboys season, Fridays at 2:30. We're just gonna have a live remote. We're gonna do a little bit of Q&A. It'll be half price drinks all night, and entrees as low as $5 or $6. So if you're in the area, if you want to come hang out with us and have a couple drinks, be there. Mexico in Plano, Texas.
Yes, indeed. Derek, where can they find Big Game James at? Where can they find him at?
Well, just type in Big Game James and you go find it. Type in hey, for real though, no, go on Silver and Blue Nation. I'm about to say go on Facebook. Type in Silver and Blue Nation. Big Game James, we're there. We've been going strong. Actually, I think our year anniversary is this Sunday. We've been a year on the air, and it's been a great ride. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Well, we ain't here, but we did start from the bottom. But just grinding. Make sure you check it out. Trying to keep it updated and hot. And like I said, you see the collab now. Law Nation, Dallas Prospect, Silver and Blue Nation, Big Game James, Mark Holmes. Man, y'all need to, everybody who's tuning in right now, keep looking and staying in tune for this, because we're going to make this whole empire fire.
Yeah, for those who don't know, this is the very first show we've done like this.
There you go. Shout out to Shango too as well, man. Shout out to Voch Lombardi, man. Don't forget to check his page out too as well. We trying to spread all this Cowboys information, football talk. Hey, don't forget to check out Phantom too as well, man. We got a whole bunch of things going on in the mix.
Yes, we
it's
do.
a network.
Hey, man, also shout out Producer G, just putting this great show together for us, keeping us on the rails here.
Yes.
Appreciate
it. You know how he cooks it up. He's Voltron.
Hey, but you know what? This is not my best, I'll tell you that.
No, man. I'm not worried at all about that.
Up, he'll be texting me like, I didn't like that at all.
Hey, it's never good enough, man.
It's all good, man. We guys got to go, but hey, and remember, you guys are listening to Nothing But the Bass. Salute.
Nothing but the best.
Man, he
Salute.
always drops down an extra octave.
I'm gonna try it.
Yeah,
And
right.
remember, you guys
Sign off.
are listening to nothing but the
To the
best.
right to that mic. All right, know what's coming.
Yeah, remember.
All right. Well, until next week, I'm producer G, and you
Big Gang
guys,
J.
I'm Darreck
Messed
Kirby.
it up. That's all right.
and that's Law
Law
Nation,
baby.
and we're out.